And on we go, a Yasuo ban. I don't believe that was banned or picked in any of the 3 games we saw earlier today, so Gen.G kind of have a different mind about that Yasuo.
Ruler Core JJ and Coach Edgar were front row seat for the rumored Faker hard carries on Yasuo. And Solo Q has been popping off. Hide on Bush, currently second overall behind Kahlua fans, which I believe is Knight from Suning Gaming, but and that's been 100% confirmed and 1 position in front of ADD. And they're banning away the Nocturne as well. Blossom playing a lot of it in Solo Q. It is a very high-powered pick. The Shen ban is drawn. There's actually a lot available. As Zoe, big favorite, is available at first picked by Jinair in game number 1. Now, there's no agreement you have to go that way because Vladimir, Flex Vlad, could be taken on the blue side as well. But that would be a very aggressive choice. Camille is open. I think Camille or Vlad will be considered. Sorry, Camille, banned, first ban. I didn't catch that one. Xin Zhao, the strongest ganking jungler. Yeah. They see Blossom, they expect aggression. They just take Xin Zhao.
Take it away, and what is Blossom going to counter with? He could go for the Trundle in order to try to just fight straight up.
Here's one prediction. I don't think Faker's going to play mid lane Taric. So Master Yi Taric was kind of out the window, and Rengar is just straight up taken, probably in the jungle for Blossom.
Should be in the jungle. I don't suppose there's any strategy where you try to mass feed your Rengar, and the crowd laughs, actually, when Lulu comes out here, and the camera goes to Bang, as we might have our resident Lulu player here.
Well, the Rengar with a wild growth is an oldie but a goodie, so that could actually be some sick initiation when the team fights come around. The side of Gen.G, a lot is open in this draft. They get Zoe's second round, which has been a first-round pick for a long time. Would have to be cleansed mid lane Lulu. Kind of irony that Bang is now the resident Lulu, given that Faker's Lulu onto Bang's Lucian is such a famous historical point from 2015. A power draft from the side of Gen.G. Hey, who's that?
Must be Ruler, right? Bang doesn't play Ezreal anymore. Or does he? There we go, Ezreal coming in. And we would assume that's Bang, although we can't say 100% because it's 8.11.
Could be support Ezreal maxing W and Bang on his trusty Lulu. The on-hits will be popping off.
Wolf grabs the 80 carry roll away.
I mean, it's happened before. He was a jungler for a while there.
Yeah.
Well, this is fun. Could be a duo lane as well. We could see Lulu in the bot lane. Wolf has played it many, many times. So wait and see what the approach is. And they're saying, yes, you did say there were marksmen, but is there more than 3? Because Ezreal and Lucian are now gone. If you ban away Kai'Sa, I guess you could even just ban Ashe and say, hey, if you go Rage Blade, we could end the game before the Rage Blade is truly operational.
Yeah. Also, Darius seems to be our resident Phase 2 ban. On either side, we see that all the time, as he's not really a guy who gets picked in the first 3 picks, but in the second 2, very, very common. So, want to take that away.
Tal played it in their first series. It was Darius and GP in that one. Gonna see the Singe ban here also, so maybe that's just suggesting an Ornn pick on the first pick for Bang here on the red side in the second round.
The Mundo is still available as well. Something that the Darius goes well into. Darius goes well into Singe too, which might be part of the reason why it was banned out there. Kive was having a little bit of a chuckle after that got banned.
The safety of the Ornn, because of the Mundo, is in question. They already have Rengar ult, so they're just straight up blind Mundo. We said that Griffin started it when it came to Mundo as a power pick, and here's a good indication that it's still on. Now,
Kog'Maw, another one of these 80 carries that we initially said, yes, you still can run it. It hasn't had much success here, but the Xayah is going to come through here. Ruler just sticking to his guns, only 80 carries for now.
So the build has changed for Xayah. We'll talk about it a bit in-game, but obviously with Essence Reaver changing, you have to go to different spaces in a lot of cases. And now final pick is going to be for top lane. Cuve's been playing a lot of top lane Ryze, and it is still very powerful. A range choice into the Mundo can go for the Morellonomicon as a second item. A lot of nods of the heading, and okay, we're seeing top lane Mundo against top lane Ryze. Finally seeing this thing that a lot of top laners have been practicing in solo queue.
Now, what will be going into the mid lane or the support role? Will we see Lulu for Faker, and then perhaps Wolf jumping onto the Kennen? That's going to be the hover for now.
So Kennen's actually strong because during the grand entrance, you can pop the ultimate, and even though you're going to be CC trained, grand entrance and also the quickness, you will also be putting out CC. So it's probably going to be a support cannon. In this particular case, Faker's Lulu is back so many years later. It's definitely a different team. The wave clear here is not massive on the side of SKT, but Blossom likes the Rengar into the Xin Zhao. Both these junglers are going to be hunting for crabs, and whichever one face checks the other could be blown up promptly.
It's going to be about face checking. It's going to be about pressure from the mid lane and even the top lane, depending on where these fights do happen.
Matt, Fly was hulking out there. He was just completely stretching. It used to be KT versus SKT when Fly met Faker. Now it is Gen.G versus SKT. Faker, is he going to take the cleanse? Is a question because he doesn't usually balk and go for the defensive summoner.
Yeah.
A lot of kill pressure. If Ryze roams, if Xin Zhao comes in, if a trouble bubble hits, you are dead, Mr. Faker. But Faker's hulking out. He's number 2 in solo rank, and SKT will not want to go 0-2 in their first matches.
Faker, we usually like to see him on something that can carry hardcore, you know, his normal picks in the past, but will be a bit of a supporter. Trying to win the lane as well with that Ignite, but you think about all the stuff you could put your Wild Growth on, the Mundo, the Rengar, even the Kennen. If the Kennen decides to go in first, it's going to be so useful. It will be fantastic for dealing with, you know, the Rakan in your face, the Xin Zhao in your face, and just keeping everyone alive. That Lulu position for Faker is going to be extremely important in this game.
I mean, we're all going in, Valdez. Both teams have a lot of initiation. We don't have any pokey off meta comps. We're fighting this time.
Yeah, that we are. The countdown has started. Game number 1, Gen.G versus SKT starts now.
생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Gen.G fans still getting used to their fans here. They've been run through the gauntlet. Samsung fighting, KSV fighting, and now Gen.G fighting.
You did feel bad for them because the first and most normal reading of the name is Gen.G fighting. And well, they've been educated, so now no free press for Blizzard every game.
I'm sure
if no one
Riot's
told them,
happy about that.
If no one ever told them, then that's what would have happened, to be clear.
Everybody would just say Gen.G fighting every game.
But we are spared that particular thing.
Thankfully. Yeah. It was, I remember when I first heard that Gen.G was going to be the name. Wasn't the biggest fan myself, but Generation Gaming, I suppose that's a cool kind of full name, but the abbreviation, not so much from my stance.
There's the realest G's in the room. They are Gen.G, as Haru made a big impression on his Camille. And now, first pick Xin Zhao to say, what you got, bro? I got Xin Zhao, and Camille is gone. And, well, Rengar is not the first expectation. It's our first Rengar in a country minute. It's been a very, very long time since Rengar has been a
country minute, huh?
It's usually a country mile, but thanks for breaking my balls over here.
I had never heard of it, and I didn't make the connection, so I was like, huh, interesting. Is Papa just making up stuff as we go, and we don't even realize it?
Well, if you're joining us for this series first, maybe an SKT fan, you'll see pop goes the 1 in the top left of the screen. 'Cause now we have the Rifts got their counter. Very cool. There is the update.
It's really important, you know, just to have a good idea of who's winning the early game in terms of the jungle and even the mid lane. It's just so much thrown into that Scuttle Crab, so you really got to be working towards those objectives. But you will notice that we were talking about, you know, level 2 versus level 2, Scuttle Crab fights and stuff like that, but Blossom just forgoes that entirely. Farming out the majority of his jungle first, getting both buffs and looking for the other one, but Faker, he's got a good position right now. You can tell he's respecting it, but in comes the Ignite, and he is going to even flash the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. So down goes the flash. Faker gonna have to play respectfully from now on.
It is the free Ignite from Fly. He has his own Ignite. If you're wondering what happened there, Faker did not take Cleanse, which is bold to say that, but Faker's Lulu, a very, very famous pick. He's played 30 games of Lulu in the professional scene, 20 and 10, so 2/3 victory there. And it's weird because people looked at the Lulu in 2015 and said, oh, we'd rather see him on a carry champion, as my mic goes a bit weird. I guess someone didn't like Lulu mid and didn't want me to talk about it. But he was a carry on the Lulu. He was all about lane pressure. It's his presence, it's lane priority, I guess, that was his carry rather than necessarily his score line. And the Ignite is saying, I want to control Fly's every move. It's a very faker move, but having no cleanse is a pretty big cost.
Yep, and now having no flash means that you're not going to have much control of anything, especially, as you mentioned, it was the free Ignite that helps out Fly, so he's got both of his summoners still left available. Going to be pretty happy in that lane for now.
Bit more housekeeping. The build I've seen from Xayah on this patch is actually back in the Demacia Cup, which was new Essence Reaver into Black Cleaver. It's a new way to get 40% CDR because it's 20% from Essence Reaver. You still proc the Essence Reaver very well. Usually using your ult mid-fight, not to open it, but still. And then you just have the AoE shred coming through. So that's the new build I've seen to kind of circumvent the changes. No guarantee that he'll copy Abel here, Ruler, but it's going to report on what I've noticed from other pro games.
Yeah, especially when you got big AP damage threats up in the top and the mid lane. You're not necessarily helping out your allies, you just be helping yourself, and I guess the Xin Zhao, which is not terrible, but we'll wait and see if he does go into that build. Glad you note it, but so far, the jungle has been relatively quiet and calm. They haven't run into each other at all, just a couple of wards spotting each other out and sitting back and farming up as much as possible.
And Blossom's build, I imagine, will take inspiration from Nocturne and be full damage. He's got a Mundo on his team, he's got a Wild Growth to follow him up, and plenty of other follow-up CC coming through from Wolves. So I think Duskblade is a very likely item here. I'd be surprised to see Cinderhulk in any attempt at tank from the Rengar. Still haven't seen the tete-a-tete between Haru and Blossom, but I'm very much looking forward to them scrapping at some point in this game.
It'll happen, eventually. We're not there yet, but we also have to take a look at the top lane. You notice the Ryze was brought into the top lane. There's so many flex picks nowadays in 2018 LCK Summer 8.11 patch that your Ryze can be AD carry, it can go mid, it can go up into the top lane. Seems to be working out decently well up against the Mundo so far, is winning in farm by almost 20.
Because Core JJ had eyes on the Rengar. It's a free scuttle for Haru on the top side of the map. There was no ambiguity about where the Were-Kitty was going to be at. It's going to be now entering his top side jungle, but Xin Zhao's already there. See Rengar actually hugging his inner turret saying, oh wait, I'm not actually sure if I can go top side.
Yeah. Vision control up there is going to be given over to Haru, who puts down a control ward at the red buff. But a nice ward in lane spots Haru coming in, and Blossom is level 5. They might think about taking a fight here, but not going to take it just yet.
Quite a lot of impending doom coming to Fly if he went into hop range of Blossom, but not to happen. Seems like Blossom's just going to back one camp ahead of his opposite numbers. So far, pretty comparable between the two.
Oh, okay. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does come in, but Rengar is gone. Just a little bit of trading here is going to go the way of Fly, and even the Ignite, the real one this time onto Faker, is going to push him out of lane.
No bootleg Ignite, but of course no follow-up to actually finish off the kill. Faker himself was almost out of mana, so that's why the attempt at the all-in came in. Looking at some of the item choices here, Bang looking for some extended laning. He's actually gone Tier Cull. Don't say that too often, but I imagine didn't have gold for the pickaxe, and so decided to try to cash in and play the investment banker. Juve still going for the minion dematerializer because Ryze always had that unique interaction where if you use it at the same time as your E is mid-air, it counts as you killing the minion with your E and spreading it to the lane, so it helps with the pushing. Kind of just been pushing in Mundo, but Mundo's going to feel pretty good about building Merc Treads and Spirit Visage and going from there.
Yeah, and especially if fights do break out on the top side, he's going to be having a fun time because Xayah is going to be the majority of that attack damage outside of the Xin Zhao, taking phase rush. But let's see if he can rush down on the bottom side here. Might be looking for Wolf, but all the summoners are available right now.
And go to this level 5. You see Telecom, you don't expect anything. Here we go.
Bang running on in is going to be forced to flash away, and the flash on in with the knockup, and Wolf flashes to the left side and will be taken out. First blood goes over to Ruler on the Xayah.
It's really smart gank time. What point I was trying to get to is when you see Telecom, you know Rengar's not going to be there because you're not going to try and bait your jungler and say, hey, gank for my lane, I got no damage. Meanwhile, Gen.G were in position, very nicely executed, as well, they're looking for a counter kill.
Blossom only goes one way, and he might be able to do just that, but actually, CoreJJ gonna get away for now. The flash on in, and the entrance away. The grand exit and the ultimate from Ruler comes out. There's no way you can get onto that. CoreJJ gets a little bit low from Faker, but it's not enough to take him out.
Nice team play coming through from the side of Gen.G. Ruler and CoreJJ, the old buddies, have the buddy system as just about enough to get them away through all of it. The moment that Rengar was forced to change targets onto Ruler, who had everything available, there's going to be no chance to take him down, but now they know for sure that the entire bot lane has had to evacuate. Should be a free Inferno for SKT.
And that's not half bad. You're missing a lot of summoners in the bottom lane, but at least, you know, you're able to get something back after giving first blood. Only 500 gold down, but an Infernal Drake that can help you scale into the later game.
You see a little bit about why Faker was confident enough to go for the Ignite choice. He's actually going to go banner first item in the mid lane, so he's going to build Magic Resist and thus not go for a more greedy option. Watch the replay. Remember, you don't expect Rengar to be here because it's Telecom Ezreal. There's no reason to be there. Good job by Haru. A nice predict on the grand entrance, and Wolf does flash away to safety, but no base stats on the cannon means he goes down.
Yeah, flashback means most likely you would have been caught by the other side of the grand entrance, so no point in doing that. Gave it his all. I suppose if he was supposed to play that perfectly, it would have been just not flashing at all, but at that point, you're trying to get away. And another Scuttle Crab going to go over to Haru. You guys will notice in the top side, once that gets updated, that's 3-1 in favor of Gen.G for Scuttle Crabs.
For some reason, I look at the Scuttle Crab, and every time we get to those numbers, I think of the World Cup. So what can I say? It's always soccer scores, 3-1, 2-1, 1-0.
So. Faker, though.
Man, the Aegis stats were helping out. He'd be dead otherwise.
He definitely would be.
Lost chapter at Lulu would have died there.
Certainly helping out against that Zoe. The Zoe wasn't even a first pick, as you mentioned in the pick ban. It actually made it to the second round. It was Xin Zhao first pick, then Rengar Lulu, and then Rakan Zoe. So Gen.G pretty happy about their picks so far, I suppose.
Game's still pretty even. First blood gold and just a bit of farm lead in mid and top are what build up the lead. We have seen enough evidence now of Mundo to know that the Mundo versus Zoe thing goes pretty well for Mundo as the game goes on. He has the most reason ever to go for Spirit Visage Merc Treads, so the looming threat of that is there. However, mid-game damage for Gen.G will be astronomical in this game. Going to be 4 damage dealers on their side, and Haru already has a kill involvement. It's going to be really about mid-game execution, and we don't always go to the late game, even though for today and yesterday, the average game time has been trending upwards.
Faker trying to do a bit of outplaying here, you'll notice. Just trying to dodge with his whimsy and all that good stuff.
Promotes up a minion as well to add the frustration.
Yeah.
No longer magic damage immune. Is 40% damage reduction currently.
Uh-oh. Blossom might be baited in here. Look at the top lane. Rise coming in, the TP, but Blossom getting low, and now he's going to be stuck. There it is, going to be charmed on up. And now Tal with the TP, he's going to be locked down here. Here comes Wolf, though, going to get a 3-man stun, but they don't have enough damage. The Ezreal ultimate comes through, but does not kill CoreJJ. And now Wolf might be in a little bit of trouble. Will they actually go in onto this Cuvée? Diving on in, trying to get that root piston, and he does, so they trade 1 for 1. Haru now on the back foot here. Cleaver's trying to be thrown out. They will get the slow, and there is Bang coming on in to help out with the kill assist. And they do get a second kill to SKT.
Explosive skirmish that goes on for a very extended time. When we saw Blossom explode, it looked bad for the side of SKT, but they do clean up when their damage finally arrives. Picture perfect initiation from Wolf, but at a time where Gen.G knew they could still walk up and there was no damage behind it. Overall, the game rests at 3-2. Now we're getting interesting. Now the spice in the game that we predicted is starting to come online. Gonna watch the replay here. Remember, Blossom is in the enemy jungle, and Haru says, I think the Rengar's here. And you know what? He is certainly on the money. He waits for CoreJJ. They don't burst down Blossom initially, but eventually they take him down. However, Wolf sees his moment, sees 3 people all in a row, and able to get that CC onto 2, a knock up onto Fly. But because the damage isn't there, and at this point the damage represents the tier Cull Ezreal, the start of it is pretty even. Cuvee flashing in aggressively. In hindsight, unnecessary to go for the 1-for-1 on a support, because the cleanup kill does start to tip it towards SKT.
Yeah, Bang finally gets there. He had been pushed in, which is why the Rakan got there first with the Xin Zhao. And once he, eventually cleared out the wave, ran all the way up after ulting through, he was able to help out with the clear there. So let's take a look at that damage in the last fight. Actually, Kennen is the winner. I suppose casting your ultimate on 3 people and throwing out a couple of shurikens will do that for you.
Wasn't the decisive damage, but it was the most damage, and Kennen does do a lot of base damage. People were sitting in it for a long time, and remember, the ult damage is backloaded, not front-loaded, so that meant the damage did register. Gen.G trying to capitalize on bot side again. Item lead, still to some degree, having most of an Essence Reaver onto the Xayah. Haru backs away, and here is that 1v1.
There's the burst. It's a 1v1 for now, and it might just end that way. Haru flashing away.
He's still alive.
Is going to use his ultimate, and in comes the Rakan. They're going to save him from now, but finally he does go down, and the rest of SKT gets baited in. Even Faker might be in some trouble here. They're trying to lock him down, and there it is. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and it should be in a burst. With the Wild Growth, he will not survive, and 3-1 in favor of Gen.G. Haru, it looks silly, but he survives for long enough to win the fight for his team.
Holy crap, that turn, and he flashes to get close enough for CoreJJ to be there to initiate. Beautiful play. That is one way to salvage being out of position. The ult, of course, stopping the last killing blow earlier. Watch the replay here. This is a really, really cool passage of play. It looks like Haru's just dead, remember? He has Red Smite on him. He's low health. Ults to stop the W from killing him, and then in position to allow CoreJJ to come in. The communication to pull that off is stunning from the side of Gen.G, and they deserve the cherry on top, which is killing the best player of all time under his turret.
Now we watched a couple of games of Fly on Lulu, one on Aurelion Sol. He comes in here onto Zoe. That carry champ is able to help clean up, but really it was the combination of Haru and CoreJJ, as you mentioned. What a beautiful play to make that actually happen. Gen.G looking really solid. They take out Kingzone to start off their season, and now looking good in their next series.
Reinventing themselves also. Again, the strangest thing about spring was that Gen.G, or KSV at the time, started off strong, the meta was slow, and the slow grinders couldn't play the meta. They just couldn't get it going. And now, in a more aggressive meta, Haru comes in, playing the aggressive style we first knew him for on the side of Samsung Galaxy. And playing around him, the communication between the team members has looked really good. And now 3 games in a row, they're not monstrously ahead of SKT. This could still be an SKT victory. Definitely a lot of things to like about Gen.G after a spring season they have to want to forget.
Yeah, so far the only game they've lost here against Kingzone was when they started Ambition on Skarner. And, well, that was, playing a little bit to their old style, bringing in Haru on the aggressive junglers, and they find success once again. Really got to hand it to them. Maybe they identified it early on enough to say, hey, we just got to switch to this kind of style and get aggressive. And so far, it is working out. We'll see if they can close out this one. Only 3,000 gold ahead. And the second Drake they were able to pick up wasn't the best, just the Ocean Drake.
And we'll always keep pointing to the fact that Mundo is set up to do well in the late game. He has also halved the farm against opponent Cuvee. We mentioned mid-game, which is 15 to 25, maybe 30 minutes. Can Gen.G continue what required an amazing execution just to sneak ahead? They're not dominating the mid-game yet. And those worries about the late game sustain.
Yeah, we are eventually going to get to the point where, once again, Mundo, it is Mundo. He will just soak up all of that magic damage from the Rise and the Zoe, and it's really going to be up to the 80 carry ruler to show up and be able to do that. And Blossom, in a way, will be able to just one combo people if he does get on top of them fast enough.
Excited to see where the build goes. Maybe it's all the lethality items. Faker.
Ooh, nice read there from Fly. Perfect trouble bubble, and that might be the end of it. The Wild Growth, though, is going to help him out in the knock up against Haru. Said before how useful that will be against Xin Zhao. You see it there.
Awesome is Mid-ult, just ends up using it to jump to the blast plant. I imagine he popped it a little bit earlier when it looked like Faker might take more damage. Ruler walks up. It is S3 for completed. They're going on to Faker again.
Korean commentators are like, really? Again? Trying to go for Faker? And this time he's able to put his Nikes on. Dodge that sleepy trouble bubble. Kive trying to help out with the gank, but it's hard to get on top of Lulu.
His sidesteps have been very good, it must be mentioned, which, of course, the minimum expectation for a player as famous as Faker. He is tending towards the bot side and probably recalling if you're Gen.G. We know the fact that he has recall, and thus, why not go for another neutral in the Rift Herald?
Gen.G still in control. See if they can take this one out. It is in vision, as Core JJ also can just interrupt Wolf on his back, kind of annoying. And they will get full vision of the fact that they will fall farther behind here. Gen.G feeling good about this one. They already have the mid tier 1 and the bottom tier 1. Might decide to use it up towards top or wait until they get a favorable engagement and then use it to try to push down further one of the other lanes.
Seems like no Black Cleaver coming through from Ruler, so not going to be cribbing from Abel from RNG. Maybe it'll just be something like Hurricane Blade the Ruin King, and then just being able to fire out a bit of maximum health damage. There'll be plenty of health stacked onto the SKT members, whether through their own abilities or the Lulu. Wait and see. Could also just be the Infinity Edge if the T gets far enough ahead that he can afford to buy that without sitting on too much gold in his inventory. Juve in the side lane has the Morelnomicon we alluded to. Because Rod of Ages is no longer seen as core, this is about the 5th game in a row with no Rod of Ages on the rise. Reason being, meta does require fighting earlier than Rod of Ages is fully stacked currently at the moment. We see Shirelia's second, we see Morelnomicon second. And healing reduction goes a long way when Lulu and Dr. Mundo on the other side.
Yeah, just in general, it's a good item, but that extra is always good against a lane opponent like that. And that rise, you know, we talk about the scaling of the Mundo, even the Rengar, but he'll have to eventually look at that rise too, as he's just been sitting up in the top lane for the majority of the game, getting his items one by one. Gen.G trying to clear out as much vision as possible around the Baron now that it did just spawn. There is one ward that they did run over towards the mid lane. Not sure if they're aware of that one. Looking for a gank onto fly. Here's Blossom looking for the one combo, misses the bolas. And now he's going to be taking a huge battle start to the face, needs the wild growth to come out. And while this is all happening, the top lane was pushed.
That was a very Blossom moment because the chance of a kill was 0%, and yet he went in anyway, almost died. The wild growth was after he had about 100 health, so wasn't using it preeminently, and they were surprised by how much damage the Zoe was able to pull out. So we'll put that one on the maybe don't do that again column for Blossom.
Yeah, you got to feel for Faker. He's just trying so hard, man. He's trying so hard to carry this team. He's dodged multiple sleepy trouble bubbles. He died towards the end of a team fight earlier on. He has to save Blossom multiple times. He's trying his hardest. He is going to eat a paddle star to the face right here as he had to get through on there. And by the way, the Rift Herald wasn't used in the top lane.
No.
It's used here in the mid lane to take out the tier 2, which makes that Baron even more of a possibility.
Very long map also for the side of Gen.G. Using the Rift, the Redemption, I assume, was picked up by the Zoe. Yep, confirmation there, no Redemption on their side. Just trying to be annoying. A lot of area for the Artillery Zoe to set up, and also deep vision to make the enemy predictable when Baron has to be the next thing on the menu for Gen.G. Even though we're only 22 minutes in, they want to keep the pace high. We've already reiterated the threat of Mundo as the game goes on. This is the game state you want when the Mundo has largely just been ignored in farming.
Yeah, and you mentioned the mid-game kind of power spike here for Gen.G, just the amount of damage that they're going to have in the mid-game. They don't have any Drakes to help them out, but they will for sure have a very fast Baron with all of that damage that they do have. The Xayah and the Rise specifically going to be chunking that out super fast. So if they find an opportunity, we're here in 8.11. No doubt they'll be trying to rush that down. Let's take a look at the damage here so far. Zoe even getting some numbers there at the end. Up at 9,710. And actually the lowest damage in the game is our resident Mundo.
He's been just really cleavering under turret and doing nothing else. I'm sure that could come later in the piece. When it comes to Fly, I think we should highlight that this is a player that I and many other people have criticized for his inability to play the meta champions. He could always play Aurelion Sol, Zilean, and the other edge meta champions, but I remember in 2016 when KT needed him to play Orianna, his Orianna was woeful. He really struggled on playing the required champions. Zoe is a required champion. She's a first pick champion on the blue side, and his Zoe performance has been very impressive. If he can keep this up and conquer kind of the demons of that reputation. There's a great interview with Inven Global talking about all the things people think about Fly and his ability to answer those criticisms. More performances like this will go a long way to elevating him up the tier list of LCK mids.
Yeah, you know, everybody talks about how Fly comes in and he replaces Crown, and I know some people were unhappy with Crown's performance in spring, and how, you know, he was just there playing Malzahar World Championship, all that kind of thing. But Fly comes in here and people are questioning, like, really, Fly, is he going to be able to show up Crown? He's coming in here, and so far, Crown is going to have a hard time getting his seat back. I
mean, I heard the news and I was like, but he's basically the same criticism I have of Crown in that his laning phase is weak and his team fighting is decent. But hey, you need to fight in the early game. It's an early game snowball meta. Gen.G, what are you going to do? Him coming in, having performances like this where he can perform in the early game on meta champions and also have that pocket Aurelion soul to creep fear into most teams is a really important weapon for Gen.G.
It's led to their success so far. I mean, Kingzone didn't have the most beautiful best of three, to be honest. The 5-man dive up in the top side will definitely be a small mark on their name for the beginning of summer here, but yeah, even so, Gen.G looking pretty good. We'll have to see if they can clean up this game from here on out. Double Ocean Drake, not going to be the best, but at least 8% is not bad out of combat.
But the Baron is the final frontier. They've already got inner mid lane turret. The top and bot lane turrets are pretty irrelevant.
Here we go. Blossom under a lot of trouble, but a very on-time wall growth and a 4-man ultimate from Wolf. But oh no, where did the kitty cat go? He disappears and so does Wolf. That's the damage you were talking about, Papa Smithy. Goodbye, Kennen, and goodbye, Rengar.
Second time in the game, the engage has been massive, but there's no one to profit off it. They don't have any damage to load in there. Unfortunately for the side of SKT, the massive ultimate ends up just being a fail, and then it's going to be a Baron to Gen.G.
The QA wasn't even there. It was just like a 4-on-3. You said it best. There was 0 damage to follow up the near perfect engage. And well, that kind of speaks to the woes of SKT too. They can't play here as a team. The Mundo just idly farming bot, had nowhere to TP to, and that's just going to be one lost team fight into a Baron for Gen.G.
And the thing about this, the thing I take away from this is Blossom, you know, he's looking for his chance. He wants to go in. It's initiated by the side of Gen.G, but they decide to turn this around. But consider that Wolf decides, I'm going in. This is perfect. They're all grouped up. I'm going to get big stun. That premise was correct, Valdez. But are they communicating as a team? Should I go in was not a question that was asked. He went in because he saw the stuns, but not knowing where the rest of the team was, it was the mistake from Wolf that really cost them.
I would have to agree with you. You know, it's that engage and the 0 follow-up, and you just think about the amount of zoning damage, too, that they have, not just from the CC from Rakan, but you also got Xayah with their feathers out there. Bang was on the outskirts of that fight, throwing in a couple of Qs, but that was about it. You know, he fired his ultimate, it didn't hit everybody, and they just didn't have enough to break through everybody.
I can engage, and I should engage are very different points. Now the Baron is there. It looked like Gen.G were going to have to struggle to get Baron. They have it, and now SKT. If the next move doesn't work, they might lose.
Okay, well, Wolf disappeared. Didn't see that one even happen. We lost our Kennen. Sorry about that, ripping pepperonis. And, well, you can see that Zoe doesn't do much against Mundo, but it certainly does a lot against a Kennen.
Yeah, Kennen's got no health, so he's dead. He doesn't even have a Ruby Crystal. He never built one, he's dead. Sad boys on the Kennen.
Boy. Well, at least Bang has his QSS. You know, he's played a decent game of Ezreal. It's just unfortunate that he's not going to be able to do anything in this game with his game that he had previous to this. And Baron and a bunch more kills means that 2 inhibitors does go down. And there's not much that SKT can do in terms of stopping this.
They're still dogged by their mistakes. I think their comp had a lot of chances the game went on. We already mentioned the Mundo time in this game, but Mundo versus Ryze was the biggest in-action lane. Nothing happened around those two. It was around the 2 Kennen flash ults that the team couldn't profit on. where clearly communication is not working out, that they kind of lost the maximum in both scenarios as...
Oh yeah, let's watch this again.
How much health does he have? What, 1,100 health or so?
Yeah,
this is just
like
Battlestar, right? Let's see if it's just Battlestar.
Probably one auto.
Nope.
Nope.
Just
You're
Battlestar.
Right. Well, there you go. One paddle star and oh, hello, 4 people, and Faker should be dead. See you later. That was a bit of a surprise and a bit of a frustrated Faker too far up the lane. No vision as well. Is just going to get caught out and deleted.
Had some control wards, but they're not going to spot the Rise ultimate. Rise ultimate successful. Faker in the death chamber. Plenty of things for fans to be upset about. Where's my carry on Faker? How is it happening again? But the end result seeming like going to be very similar to that Africa series, at least for game 1.
Yeah, this is nothing short of a stomp at this point. Here comes Fly, trying to put on the moves with his...
Counterfeit flash.
Yeah, counterfeit flash. Pick that one up off the street. Still works just as good, though. And, well, now we only got Nexus turrets. We'll see if Blossom from behind can get the assassination onto anyone. The Ezreal ult doesn't do anything. Last stand has to happen now for SKT, but already Tal nearly goes down. He is Mundo, so he will survive. And Blossom is nowhere to be seen. He's still not in here. Goodbye, Kennen, and goodbye, Nexus. Down it goes. Blossom too late. 1-0 Gen.G as another stomp onto SKT is here.
Ever since Gen.G corrected their read, their Protect the Cogmore game 1 they played of the season against Kingzone, did not inspire confidence. The sinking feeling was there for me. I was like, really? This time again? But since then, 3 games in a row, they have been able to live up to the hype. They have been able to live up to their own brash words. Ruler talking mess about first prey, and I guess to some degree now implying all other AD carries in the league. Very nicely played by Gen.G, and Fly especially popped off in this game. There's been so much criticism to basically every member of Gen.G by the Korean community, the global community, and SKT as well. Seems like the SKT complainers are going to be a bit louder because Gen.G are silencing their critics. And sadly for SKT, they do exactly what the fans wanted. They got rid of Blank, and it didn't change anything.
Yeah, I mean, what's better, a jungler that's kind of inactive and doesn't find anywhere to gank and is kind of a non-factor, or a jungler who goes in and nearly gives away kills to the enemy mid laner? It's kind of the total opposites in a bad way, Papa, and they still haven't found success there. The Lulu for Faker also not working out. And guys, we are going to go to another 10-minute break before we get to game 2. We'll see you in a bit.